Hey, it's Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley, and you are listening to 6th Scale Scavengers.
All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 57 of the 6th Scale Scavengers podcast, YouTube show, talking hot toys, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all things 6th Scale. I'm your host, Bryan Fontaine, joined as always with my good friends, Chris, Letty, and TC. Guys, got a great show for everybody tonight. We had a great topic last time out, and I've got another one on tap today because I can speak the English language here. And we are live, by the way. There's no outtakes, no edits. This is the real stuff here, Chris. Good topic today, but obviously news. We're going to do our ever popular and entertaining collection update. We're going to do a review of Captain Marvel. We're going to combine the standard and deluxe figures together. And then, guys, I think an interesting topic, and I've been thinking about it lately. There's some things that we say on the podcast. Oftentimes we'll say stupid stuff like Dopo, Day One shirt I've got on here. We've said it a lot lately, Chris, talking about like changing the direction or focus of a collection. And like maybe we take that for granted when we say that we're going to do it. So we wanted to kind of talk through like, what does that mean? What does it mean to each of us? How do you do it? What does it mean? What are some things that you can go about doing that? Because there was a couple comments in the on the last video that we did of some people, and there were some really interesting threads. And there was one in particular, one of our viewers had talking about that they have a lot of their collection that they haven't even had the opportunity to unbox, and that's potentially a candidate, Chris, to like maybe, hey, change up the collection a little bit. Or another topic that we say all the time, or a phrase that we use a lot is, use your collection as a form of currency. Upgrade your collection. Maybe sell one figure and get two for it. Just different things like that.
Oh yeah. You gotta find ways to increase the collection, upgrade the collection. We talk about it. We've talked about it for a couple of years now. And we'll talk about it a little bit more tonight.
And just apologies for anybody that was waiting to go live. We had some technical difficulties tonight, but the show does go on. And the show does go on with the three of us, as it has for well over a year now, probably a year and a half. Gosh, it's been a while, guys. Like the time just kind of gels together. And we talk about it often, like this, every 2 weeks, every Wednesday. Every 2 Wednesdays, because I'm just struggling today with my words tonight, guys. But I mean, we all talk daily. The Scavengers Council, the three of us, Roy, Scott, Mike, our moderator, I've seen he's already out there mixing it up with some of our Scavengers tuning in live. Shout out to James tuning in live from out in Hong Kong right now. That's or Shanghai, wherever he is. Very, very cool. Love people tuning in live for the first time here.
Yeah, got a nice crew. Got a lot of the regulars. Got some new faces and stuff. And just ready to get into this. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
All right, TC, let's just get right into the news here. And we contemplated doing an emergency episode on the 18th or the 19th because we just got 3 killer Star Wars releases, and I'm glad we kind of didn't, because if we did, we wouldn't have much to talk about tonight. So we've got a couple of those figures to talk about. Of 2 announcements of pre-orders, a figure release, and I'm not going to leave out Marvel. Because we got to talk about a Spider-Man figure too. But up first, TC, was Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. Long awaited Lando. I think a lot of collectors have been looking forward to this release, not knowing if it would ever happen, but here he is, and it looks pretty good. So this is MMS 588, retails for $235, announced September 18th, 2020, and the estimate is Q1 or Q2 of 2021, I believe. Sideshow estimate, March 2021. I think those dates are correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not a terrible turnaround. But yeah, this is a big figure. You just don't see many Lando figures available. I don't really follow the vintage collection or Black Series, but you know, this looks great, and the detail, you know, Hot Toys is bringing it all out for this one. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving this release. We needed a Lando. Starting to fill out some of those Empire Strikes Back figures that, you know, we've been waiting for all year. You know, 40th. You know, I don't know if he's gonna, you know, come in the 40th anniversary box, but you know, he does have the logo there. But it's just you know, we need to just continue to build on this Empire line, and this Lando, great release. The detail, I mean, that's Billy D. You know, the head sculpt, the prototype looks amazing, and the inside of the cape is looks great. Looks like some 70s you know, drapes over there, Bespin style. But yeah, this is one. It's funny. Like, I definitely want this figure, but it is one that I have held off pre-ordering. I'm probably going to wait quite some time before I lock this guy in. I kind of want to see what other Empire figures we do get. I mean, obviously, you know, we've got Bespin Leia out there. Are we ever going to get Bespin Han? You know, to go with this one, Chewie, removable limbs C-3PO, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's just a great figure. How about you, Brian? How do you feel about this one?
I like the fact that it's there. It's not my favorite version of Lando from the original trilogy. I would love a General Calrissian. And one of my favorite moments in Star Wars period is him blasting out a Death Star 2 with that just, you know, that joyous, you know, scream there with, you know, that with Nine Numb, and you know, that's there. Seeing a little bit of debate here, guys, about the releases, because now I'm wondering if I, you know, could have made a faux pas and didn't up. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2020.
So my apologies. I actually got to get our website updated because those all have the wrong dates, and unfortunately, you know, having a database of things, sometimes the administrator makes mistakes. I could have sworn I copied it from the website, so I think Sideshow may have actually had it wrong initially, because that's going to be my excuse. But I'll get that fixed afterwards. So I screwed up, not TC, and we'll make those updates when we talk about the Boba Fett figure here in a little bit. But Chris, like, guys, like, I think there's excitement for this one, but I don't see the level of excitement. Lando's a key figure, but to me, he's still kind of a secondary character. And, you know, we'll see. I think this one's still going to do well. I personally have not pre-ordered it yet, just because, as our topic says, I'm kind of thinking about changing the direction or focus of my collection. And I'm just not sure I want to be tied down to a pre-order on this one where it's, you know, it's a year and a half out. So we'll see. But you're right. Yeah, I think that the cape, it's fantastic. The head sculptor, Billy D. Williams. This is Lando. I like that there's one. So a couple things that I noted before we want to move on here is I'm scrolling through the photos here, and this photo here, I wonder, guys, and this is just my theory, and I'm not the first one to make this, is I wonder if we're going to get a Bespin Escape Leia as well. I know that some people have kit bashed this. I know Eric over in Tashi Station, I believe, had kit bashed one that basically took the Hoth with the Bespin Leia head sculpt, and I think took the vest off, and then got like she has like white high heel boots when she's escaping. It's not obviously the snow boots that she has, so we'll see. It would be a fairly easy figure that Hot Toys could do, But I mean, I want Luke 2.0 Bespin.
Yeah, where's that?
Where's that? There's a couple other things. I mean, where's Han? I still think Han's tied up with some kind of a license with Harrison Ford. And again, I mean, I mean, everybody loves Empire. I love it too. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but my preference is Return of the Jedi. So if we get Return of the Jedi versions of these figures, I might lean that way. So I'm not saying we're going to get a Return of the Jedi Lando here, but if you put the two together, I'm picking the Return of the Jedi one over this one. So,
yeah, I mean, 6 Scale Economist, you know, a lot of our viewers watch his videos. He made a great point. While Lando is very popular, if you look at what Hot Toys is going to offer us potentially over the next year, probably more Clone Wars figures. I mean, the clones themselves, I mean, it could be endless. So, I mean, you know, those are a lot of people's favorite figures, so they're probably going to take priority. You've got Mando figures, which are going to probably take priority of a lot of the younger collectors. And I have a feeling, like I said this in the group chat, that I feel it's like going to follow the Nebula path where everyone says they want Lando, they want a Nebula. But I have a feeling the pre-orders are going to be a little lower on this one just because Hot Toys is going to continue to bring out great figures from other lines within the Star Wars universe. And I just feel it's without Bespin Han and without a complete lineup, I just feel that people are going to kind of sit back and wait. And then who knows, at release, it could, again, be an underproduced figure. And, you know how that goes. But
yeah.
Well, TC, I think we need one more Boba Fett reissue out there.
We need 2. We need 3 more. What are you talking about?
Just keep giving us. So, not to be undone on that same evening, TC we got another reissue of the Deluxe Boba Fett. Although this doesn't indicate that it's the Deluxe. This was the previous Deluxe figure from Empire Strikes Back. A chance to reissue. I mean, Boba Fett, don't get me wrong, is one of the most popular Star Wars characters in terms of collectors out there. You know, to talk about somebody that has a very small part in 2 movies and he is a cult favorite and is probably one of the reasons why we have the Mandalorian TV show or on Disney Plus. So, I mean, what are we thinking about this, TC? I know we have a little stats and the dates are 2022, not 2021 on this. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's expected. I mean, Hot Toys sees that the current Boba Fett, it's on wait list. The current markets, it's a $400 figure, and even though this one took a while to sell out, like a lot of them Iron Man figures, once it did, it's strong on the secondary market. The holiday edition, Return of the Jedi version, they're all in demand, and Boba Fett, like you said, is one of the most popular characters in Star Wars history. So, I mean, I get why they did it. For me, I had this one, sold it, and then didn't pick up the reissue, the initial reissue. And now I'm kind of on the fence with this one. So that tells me I don't really want it. So I'm probably going to pass on it. But for anyone who didn't have the chance to, I mean, this is a great way to do it. I mean, it's coming with the 40th anniversary box. It's going to be a whole line of figures. I think it'd be a pretty sweet setup. But it's easy money for Hot Toys. Nothing that anybody hasn't said. I mean, everyone knows it's easy money. And they're probably just going to continue to reissue this one with time. It's probably not the last one.
And Chris, what is up with this pose?
Is he looking under something?
Looking for his replacement on the reissue party here. Maybe he's going to fire off his rocket off his backpack here.
Oh yeah, maybe that's it.
This one's telling you to be, shh, be quiet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I have no problem with reissues. I mean, obviously, as collectors, we want things to maintain, value and, the exclusivity of it. And when something sells out, it does. And if it's a popular figure, it does go up in value. I mean, I'm not going to get bent out of shape about this. And again, there's a lot of people that were actually looking. There's a couple scavengers that actually had TC pre-ordered the reissue of the Deluxe that went on Sideshow. Mm-hmm. And that was it looked like a restock, and those still aren't in stock. And a lot of people have been wondering, did the one that they pre-ordered, does it convert to this, or I personally think they're the different MMS numbers. I don't have the deluxe one handy, in front of me, but I think there are more of those kicking around somewhere that Sideshow's going to get their hands on, and this will be a separate figure. So if you got in on that Sideshow pre-order restock, it'll be the original Empire Strikes Back deluxe figure and not this new one with the updated. So this is MMS 574, and this one actually has a higher retail price too. This one is $285. I think the original deluxe was $267 or $276, if memory serves me right.
It's a fancy box. It's a fancy box. But
yeah,
I mean, I was thinking this would be a good opportunity for like a Boba Fett fan or Focus collector or something. They've got the one version, and then they could get another one and have the alternate setup. So they've got, the other Boba Fett's, the animated, vintage, regular release, then the alternate style. So they've got a different, they could have another figure on display. So I think, that's potentially, an opportunity for somebody to increase their display.
All right, let's just keep powering through this news here, guys. And we mentioned that we did get a release in Hong Kong. So Qui-Gon Jinn, we're still on that conspiracy theory that one of the blogger photographers is friends with JLab, and JLab on Instagram said this was coming. We got it. We have a lot of obviously all of the photos like Kindar and BG Toy Art and stuff. Just phenomenal looking photos here, guys. This originally was announced on March 22nd last year, and then we got it on that same day, September 18th. And the original estimates, guys, were Q1 or Q2 2020. So this ended up being, I think this was really impacted by COVID for the most part. There's no shame in that. And I think a lot of the newer releases have all been pushed back accordingly. But, this one dropped in Hong Kong, and I know a lot of people have already tried to grab it from Toys Buying Agent, Tim Cent, Toys Wonderland, got it in hand. And I mean, just look at this head sculpt, TC. I mean, Liam Nielsen to a T here. To me, TC, it feels a little soft, like the Obi-Wan Deluxe from Revenge of the Sith. But overall, this is just a kick butt release here, I think.
Yeah, the sculpt is soft. You can tell. It just, I think it's a B+ sculpt. I don't think it's their best work. I don't think it's bad. This is a great representation of Qui-Gon Jinn, but the sculpt is a little soft. But I mean, another great Jedi to the collection. And I think the only one that, most people are kind of clamoring for is that Episode 1 Obi-Wan.
Yes. Yep. But, I am. I love that scene. That's one of my favorite lightsaber duels.
It's a great one, and that would be a great character to add here, but I think you'd have a pretty complete lineup right now with Jedi from the prequels with this release. So hopefully people get it in hand soon. Great price at $235.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really see that anymore with these Jedi figures in 2020. So good stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a great price point, and I don't think we're going to see too many figures below that price point going forward. Maybe stuff like a regular Stormtrooper or Remnant Stormtrooper, but pretty much seems to be the floor price on Hot Toys from Sideshow. But I can't wait for this figure. I got mine pre-ordered with Ray at Underground Figures. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for U.S. retailers to get stock. We're probably looking, it's probably going to be by the end of the year, but still to have this guy in hand, pair him with Darth Maul, obviously, and in Episode 1, Obi-Wan would be killer to get that. I don't know if that, what the potential is for that. I know a lot of people are trying to do some kit bashes with the Sideshow Episode 1 Obi-Wan. I've seen some, people including those in the display, not having it quite featured, just kind of in the background a little bit. And, it's a sufficient placeholder, but we need that Hot Toys version. And then hopefully, it leads to just some more of these Jedi figures from the prequels. I think, a lot of people are looking for a Mace Windu, and, who knows from there. We've seen Kit Fisto tease, but I doubt that's in the works.
Yeah, they won't make that figure,
no.
I don't think.
No. But a Mace Windu seems obvious. That's pretty.
Yeah, just going back, this photo we've got here on the screen here, Chris, they, did a Jedi spirit version of Qui-Gon talking to Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith, and you can even see the softness on that sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think that Obi-Wan is like a B+ as well. But to me, like, it's funny, like the lighting makes a lot of difference. Like Kindar and BG Toy Arts, I think, have done the best. I mean, like this photo here, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing we kind of glossed over a little bit, guys, is the sculpted long hair as it sits on the shoulders. I think it'll be limiting in some, but I'm actually glad they didn't go with rooted hair, just because I don't feel like his hair really ever moved in the movie anyway. So
it wasn't real in the movie. So
no, but I've seen it a couple different times. I saw Mike and a couple others. Like, I have this irrational love for the Phantom Menace. I know it's not for every Star Wars fan, but I just remember seeing it in the theaters 4 times. I still have the ticket stubs somewhere. I was a junior in high school, and it was just so cool to have Star Wars back on the big screen. And for all the faults of the movie, I didn't care. I still liked it. My interest in it has waned, but it's definitely back in full force. And as others have stated, I love Qui-Gon as a Jedi, and it's you, Chris. I can't wait for this one too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where in person it probably looks better than some of the photographs, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll be a feature figure review down the line.
Oh, it will be. And not to be undone, guys, we finally have the Doc Ock Anti-Ock Suit from the Spider-Man PS4 game. I'm sure we're probably sick of talking about these PS4 Spider game. TC, did you say this was the 8th or the 9th one that they've done?
I don't remember.
You said it.
I mean, you got to figure they're almost done with this stuff. As soon as they release the classic suit.
I mean, I guess it's
probably the capper.
I guess it's a kind of a spoiler now at this point, but this is the suit that he wears at the final battle of the game. And I know that we're getting ready to release the Miles Morales version of this game. And I just saw today that they're doing a PS5 remastered version of the game, and everybody was up in arms because Peter looks different than he did in the game, but it's closer to the motion capture and the voice actors likeness than what they did. I mean, before it was kind of a combination of all the different Spider-Man that they had, and they made them into one. This one more looks like Mike was saying it too. So Mike was saying it's the 9th figure from the game. So, there's a few others they've teased, like the Velocity suit and stuff we might still get, but I think if they're going to keep making Spider-Man figures, guys, from these games, I think they're going to move over to Miles Morales after this, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I like this one. I mean, just aesthetically, I think this is probably like top 3 for me of all the ones that they've released or plan to. I mean, I like the 2099, and then this one. This would look great next to my Neon Tech 2.0 figure.
Absolutely.
And then the classic suit would probably be my top 3 of the ones that they've released so far. I know they could release the 2099 alternate, which would be pretty nice as well. But the colors on this looking really good, and then the suit looks more durable to me than some of the other ones. I mean, I could be wrong, but it looks like a really thick, like rubber type.
It looks like it's got more give in the inner joints and stuff. And like the whole shtick about the suit is like the material of the suit's like the same material that Doc Ock made his tentacles out of, which actually is included with the deluxe. We're kind of combining the standard and deluxe versions of this figure together. One of them's 250, the other's 285 when you have the deluxe Doc-Ock base, and that does look pretty cool. I think people that like Spider-Man are going to, definitely, the look of this is really cool. It's very non-traditional, and it's functional within the game. So we'll see. I probably can speak for most of us here on the panel. It's probably a pass, just like most of the other ones have been, though.
Yeah, probably a pass for me as well, unless I can rationalize just having him standing next to Neon Tech 2.0. But I don't know. It's 2 years away, so I don't really care right now.
As we talk about with our topic today, we changed the focus and direction of our collection quite a bit. I think it's a very, very timely topic here. We thought we had Jesse in our group had found photos at Secret Base that the Iron Spider VGM 38, Chris, I guess the look of what Iron Spider looked like in the Civil War comic, not the Civil War MCU movie, and that has the 3 legs instead of the 4. The red metallic and gold does look cool. I know a couple Scavengers have got that on order, so that should be hitting soon. I wouldn't be completely surprised if we see that, the blogger photos maybe even before we're done this episode tonight, or early tomorrow, and just kind of go from there. But we'll see. We don't necessarily have anything to share. We just, something leaked. We got a firsthand account of the boxes sitting outside of Secret Base. Those infamous photos that you see with the boxes and then the product code splashed across the side. So we should see that probably tomorrow.
Oh yeah. More Spider-Man figures. Then we just usually like to keep note of what Sideshow has in stock, kind of gives us a gauge of where the market is. But it looks like Remnant Stormtrooper, I believe, is on wait list. And then finally the Luke from The Last Jedi, the deluxe version, hit wait list. So just a couple more figures going out of stock. Seems like there's a lot of stuff on wait list, or wait list open, wait list full at Sideshow. The amount of things in stock are kind of going down for Hot Toys. I think hopefully we get some of these figures, Mando and Qui-Gon and all this stuff hitting US retailers pretty soon here. So yeah. And then I'll just make one last note here. If you guys didn't notice, if you haven't been following some of the 6 scale groups, Sideshow New York Con is going to happen from October 6th to the 11th. Make sure to register on their website. You get a $5 Sideshow reward point credit. So, free money. And then they're going to drop codes at various times throughout that event, like they do with Spooktacular and all these other things. So if you're not on one of the code groups, like from John Martino, his Tashi Station code group, just don't post anything other than a code in the group, because Zach from Collecting Weekly has already nailed people with his little meme generator, making fun of the people that's screwing up. Thanks for the ad, and then you're like banned. But yeah, and
I think we lost a Scavenger earlier too.
Aunt Rendon.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Sorry, man. Well, don't worry. We'll get them posted and 6 scale Scavengers as well. But if you want it as they're happening, there's no better place to be than Tashi Station. So we mentioned Eric, John, 2 of the great admins there at that group. So we'll cover it as it comes up. And I would anticipate that we'll probably, just like last year, we got Mando version 1 and IG-11 during New York Comic Con. They're going virtual this year, so there'll be some tours. Hopefully Sideshow doesn't show the same dang thing 3 days in a row. Have Groundhog Day all over again, Groundhog Day 2.0. But I would anticipate we'll see 2 or 3 new figures during those couple days the rewards pile up. I know not all of us are super keen on shopping at Sideshow, really, if ever. Sometimes just based on the taxes or the shipping costs and stuff. But sometimes they do have exclusive figures that nobody else does, and it can be worth it to get, under retail on a figure. And sometimes you get one of those codes that knocks $25 off if you even on pre-orders. And really, what it does is it makes it free shipping. So, we'll see. We're definitely going to be keeping our eye out. We'll share it as we, find more information about it.
Yeah, and then I guess tomorrow, which is October 1st at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, the first 1,000 people to respond to Sideshow dropping a code tomorrow will, they'll get that code. So I don't know why they're doing that, but
that's going to go well. Their website is definitely equipped to handle that.
It's totally handled. The servers are, they're totally backed up already for that traffic. So 1,000 people.
I can't wait to see the complaints about that. I'm not even gonna try. If I'm around, I'll give it a shot, but I'm not gonna lose sleep, or actually I won't lose sleep because it's in the middle of the workday. Yeah. But I'm sure it's for $1 or $3 or something. I'm not gonna keep mashing like the F5 button on my my keyboard or my phone to make sure I can get into the site or not, and then like lose my mind if I can't get in. So
it'll be fun though.
Sometimes there's more important things in life, and one of those most important things that I still don't know why everybody gets a kick out of this collection update stuff. I guess that's part of the entertainment value of the show, and all the crazy little things. And I think we've mentioned a couple different times here, guys, with the topic. And I think maybe we just take it for granted. I know we're talking to Roy in our council chat. And obviously in the Netherlands, it's not as easy to move stuff quickly with Facebook groups, eBay, Mercari, different things like that. If you want to move something, you can move it pretty quick. And people will gobble up hot toys. I mean, some do sit for a while and some don't always go for what you're thinking they're going to sell for, but you can move things pretty quick here in the States. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you go low enough, you can move whatever you want.
I know, Gare Bear, he's one of the best at just he knows how to price it to get people moving and talking. And his posts just always blow up on 1/6 Republic. Yeah. And then most of the time people are like, oh my God, you're crazy that it's going so low. But what he does is he drums up so much interest that he doesn't have to worry about things sitting for more than an hour. So
yeah. That's true. I don't follow that plan. I like to teeter on the market value minus fees and see what I can get. Yeah. Oftentimes I wait days before I'll sell anything.
We all have different styles. So TC, actually, while we're talking collection update here, why don't we dovetail right into any of the updates that you've got in the last 2 weeks?
All right. Big news. Well, first of all, I'll say Sean Yahtzee, good friend, always tags me in Iron Man posts now on the 1/6 Republic buy sell trade. So this is one that I didn't get, but I was, I'm always looking for that Mark 42 quarter scale figure. I never went ahead and got it, and it's almost like it one day just ended up selling out a couple years ago, and then ever since then it's always been high in the aftermarket. I never really considered it, but recently I've really kind of wanted it. It's really well built. The improvements on the 1/4 side versus the 1/6 scale figure, I think is pretty stark. Now, granted, I'd love the 1/6 scale figure too. I think it's a great suit regardless, but I do like how the 1/4 looks. He tagged me in a post. I reached out to the seller. I thought it was going to work out, but apparently someone got there before me and came through on payment, so I wasn't able to get that figure, so I've kind of put that on the back burner for now. But what it ended up making me do was, for some reason that same night, I did a random search on eBay, and I just typed in MMS 353. That's how I search my hot toys by number. And MMS 353, for those of you who don't know, is the Mark 46 from Civil War. And that figure was available on eBay from a seller who had no feedback at the time, US based. It was like he listed the auction for like $350 or buy it now for $475. And so I was like, I'll just buy it now for $475 because if I let it go to auction,
It's going to go higher.
it's going to go higher than that. And I can't believe no one bid on it, because once you bid on an item like that, there's no option to buy it now.
Right.
You can set your minimum, and then if someone bids, the buy now option goes away, and you take it to the end. And so I bought that figure, and came. It's awesome. And the seller was just trying to build. I guess he just had some. He's still selling things. I just never sold anything and didn't have an eBay account, and I guess I got kind of fortunate on that one. But that was a great addition.
Dang.
That same seller, I didn't get this figure, but he put the Mark V up for auction. These are all new. These are sealed in the box, basically. Put the Mark V up for auction. Buy it, auction minimum $350. Buy it now for $450. Someone bought it now for $450, and the guy put it up the Mark VI, and someone did not buy it now for like $450. They took it to auction, and it ended up at like $750.
Oh my God.
These people are fools.
Yeah.
If you see the Mark VI for auction, anything under $500, brand new, you buy it. You don't play the bidding game.
No.
And anyway, so those are the big items. I also got the Mark II from him, so another great deal. I mean, I'm finding these for around $450.
Yeah.
And at that price, it's a no lose situation. I mean, the value of the figures is higher. It's just he had no feedback. He ended his auctions in the morning. That combination lends itself to fewer buyers, and fewer buyers who are going to trust the seller. But it worked out great, and I've got now 2 key figures that I've been missing.
Man.
And then the other one that I picked up, I actually had this was paid off for months. This is not even anything recent, but the Mark III quarter scale, released November of 2019 in Hong Kong, just sent to Stevens Collectibles September of 2020. So talking 10 months of a wait from Hong Kong to a retailer. It was just crazy. And that one's been paid off, like I said, for a while, but it finally arrived, and pretty happy that figure's, it's just crazy good. It's no die cast on the outside. I think there might be some on the legs on the inside, kind of like the Hulkbuster, but just another key figure for the Iron Man collection as I'm continuing to transition forward to that. And I did also do one other thing. I sold my Han Disguise figure. So Stormtrooper Han from A New Hope, the Hot Toys exclusive, I ended up selling that on eBay and waiting for payment. Buyer says he's going to pay tomorrow, so we'll see.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I know those challenges all too well lately,
Yeah.
TC.
Usually
Chris.
it's okay, but
Yeah. I mean, for the most, selling is a necessity, as we'll talk about with our topic. We keep kind of referring to it. I think it's going to probably be a good discussion here. So good stuff, TC. All right, Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have much this week. Pretty light with the Hot Toys stuff. But so a while back, I had gotten that Ant-Man and Wasp miniature Hot Toys set. It's just the little display. I gotten that off Mercari because I sold stuff on Mercari that I basically paid nothing for. So then I bought that, and then I sold that, and basically used that money as my NRD for Wasp, because I watched every Wasp review video, and I'm eagerly anticipating Parker Files Wasp video. And so I actually got that from Sideshow because I had a bunch of rewards and I had a promo code. So I knocked the price way down, and I'm really looking forward to that figure. Just, definitely need it. I'm going to hold out on
Oh no. He needs to get 2 hamsters. One is just not cutting it anymore.
Yeah. So hopefully Chris is frozen in time. I don't know if anybody else can see what he's got. Brett, wherever you are, I'd like see if I can point, like see if you can screen capture that right now. They got Chris, poor guy's frozen here. So we'll get him back in. We'll get his hamster wheel started back up. So I'll go ahead and give some of my updates here. There's a lot. Actually a lot outgoing and not necessarily incoming. So a couple things. I'll start with some canceling some pre-orders again. Just decided to change up a focus and deciding that it didn't necessarily need all like the tertiary characters from the Mandalorian line. As I was really looking at my collection, TC, I was kind of trying to find out that maybe it's not as important to, be as like have to have a full line. And I know we had an episode a couple months ago where we like, to the end of the line and I'm going to collect them all. And it just isn't going to work for me. I know it works for some, but we'll see. So I let a couple go, the Heavy Mandalorian, the Mando Death Trooper, the Incinerator Trooper, and then Solo Maul. So just paring down the Star Wars pre-orders a little bit, lightening that load. And then I'm going to go to the sold. So there's just a lot, and a lot of it's paring down Star Wars, getting rid of either multiples that I have in different movies and stuff. And again, just kind of giving myself permission to say, like, just because I feel like I have to have something doesn't mean that I need it in my collection. And again, using that collection as a form of currency. I've mentioned before, my son is super into Iron Man right now. That was my change in direction. So you got to pay for those somehow. So here we go. All right. Outgoing. And if I fail to mention who, if there was somebody in a scavenger, I know a couple of these went to some scavengers. I apologize. Jeddah Patrol Stormtrooper, that was on eBay. Leia, New Hope, Han and Chewbacca, New Hope, those are on eBay. Count Dooku, I think that went to Evan, who's also part of the Economist group. Kylo Ren, The Last Jedi. Resistance Ray, sent that down to Aaron. Scavenger Deal. Sent a Scavenger Deal to Joe for Hot Leia. I'm keeping Endor Leia as my Leia. Dark Side Anakin, decided I didn't need exactly the same figure, one with Sith eyes and one not. Sold that on eBay. Death Trooper Specialist, sold that on eBay. Bespin Leia, sold that on eBay. Chris, keep those facial expressions going. You got to give Brett some content here. So, and then finally, I had 2 premium format statues that I let go, as I mentioned before, Emma Frost and the brown suit Wolverine. So all of that packaged up lately. My shipping and receiving department on my basement's been really busy. And yeah, that basically has funded some of the other stuff that I did here. So as I mentioned last time, and like scavengers just kick butt. Like I mentioned it last time, guys, that I was really looking for a Mark IV. I probably had 6 or 7 scavengers that reached out to me, either tagged me in groups or reached out to me individually and said, hey, did you find something? I know we had Austin reached out to me in the comments thread of our last episode, trying to help me out. I did actually end up finding one. So I completed the diecast line, guys. Again, I have them all back. I found a Mark III. I found a Mark IV. I found a Mark V. And the cream de la crop, I paid off the Hulkbuster early. I shared it in our Facebook group, our private group, yesterday. My son, again, like I mentioned, is super into Iron Man. His 2 favorite armors are Hulkbuster 1 and the Mark I number 2. He loves the Mark I because it has a flamethrower. And I showed him it. I didn't tell him it was coming. I brought him down into where I had it in my basement. We opened it up together, and he's just jumping up and down like he's losing his mind. He's doing like the Iron Man poses with the repulsor blast and stuff. It was a cool collecting moment, and it was funded from when I let my DeLorean go. I love the DeLorean. I love Back to the Future. My son doesn't know Back to the Future. He'll watch it someday, and maybe he'll think it's cool or not. But it was more important for me to have something that we could kind of have a shared bond over. We both love Iron Man. You know, I love the MCU. Going back through and watching those movies with my family lately has meant a lot to me, and it's been good to revisit a lot of those. And you know, another thing too, we had Scott on from Parker Files a couple episodes ago, and he named his YouTube channel saying that, hey, you know, his son's going to inherit his collection one day, and just kind of drawing those comparisons together. That to me means a lot to my collection. And TC, I'm going to be honest, like you rubbed off on me with all your Iron Man hunting, so you get some of the blame here.
Well,
and
I mean, now's actually a good
we
time.
We didn't compete for any of these other figures that we're talking about here.
Different timeline. I already had some of the ones you were going for, so yeah, we didn't compete. Also, I mean, even Iron Man. I mean, there's been a dip. You can kind of see it. I mean, Mark V sold strong Mark 6, but other than that, I mean, you can find deals. I think.
The market from when I sold them all to when I got them, it wasn't that different. And I found some deals on some. A couple cost me a little bit more, but when I look at like my budget sheet, and Chris makes fun of me because I keep track of this stuff, but it was very close. Like obviously to swing it, I needed to sell a lot of the other figures that I have, and not to make light of all that stuff going out. You guys will laugh at this. I'm actually probably close back to 50-50 now in terms of Star Wars and Marvel. What's old is new again.
But then you got, I mean, the transition was good for like 8 episodes of updates.
Yeah. So, and there's still a couple more coming. That's stuff I don't have yet that I'll talk about. All right. So, I broke my own rule, guys. I said I was never going to part figures out again. Cletus, man, the Hebrew Hammer, if you're watching this, if you're listening on audio, if you're out on one of your infamous like 13-mile runs, man, I'm sorry. It just happened. I just listed some stuff. I've got some things that I was never going to display with my Captain Marvel deluxe figure, Goose, the leather jacket, never going to display those. And I did get the deluxe Hawkeye because I got a screaming deal from Ray at Underground Figures for it. And to have Hawkeye in my collection, I want like the original 6 in game form. Like that's my thing. I'm not going to display him with a Ronin look. So I looked at it. I was like, all right, I'm going to take a chance and list it. And, knock on wood, the person, it's still on eBay now. It's not finished. And obviously somebody could always flake at the last second and not pay. But yeah, I think my gamble may end up working out, and I'm not going to do it anymore, though. It was enough.
Well, if you do it, I mean, just if you ever sell the Hawkeye or whatever, just part it out. Just finish the job.
Yeah.
Then you'll probably be okay.
So
you're making good money with that.
It's going well. Like I can't complain. So we'll see. It's kind of stressful to part figures out, and then of course too, sometimes OCD kicks in and like, did I really want to do that? But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, actually, although when you do that, you are kind of, when people bid on a accessory, like they really want that accessory, and then they're often cheaper. So if you can split the accessories, you're splitting it over many different people. Mm-hmm. So if something goes wrong with one, you still got the other ones to make up for it. Instead of you send the whole figure out, there's an issue with the hair or something, and there's a mark on the face, I don't want it, or whatever. Then you have to deal with that crap.
Or like a partial refund or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you're basically losing on it. But yeah, definitely, like we talked about last time around, the parting out game can be really lucrative. Like, you're saying, for certain figures. For some accessories, have no, like, you can't use it for anything else. But I think, it's I won't tell you I told you so this time around, because things are going for, pretty good money, but just you'll get the head shake for now.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about our topic. And we've hinted at a bunch of different time here, guys. We don't really, we put the three of us and the rest of the team, Roy, Mike, Scott, we all put a ton of work into this show. It doesn't just happen. We all work throughout the 2 weeks to keep the notes updated, getting all these photos ready to go, keeping the website updated. I'm still mad at myself that Sideshow had the wrong dates for the Lando and Boba figures, so I'm going to get that updated after we turn the lights off tonight. But, I don't even know where I was going with that, guys. Anyways, let's go on our topic. We all do hard work. This thing doesn't just come together. I guess this is the point I was trying to make. I just had a senior moment. But anyways, let's talk about the topic. And we maybe take for granted for a lot of new scavengers when we talk about like, okay, I feel like phrases that we use a lot, Chris, even if you go way back to the very beginning, I'm changing the focus of my collection. I'm changing the direction of what I'm doing, whether it involves changing up pre-orders or canceling pre-orders or shifting from Marvel to Star Wars or back and forth or splitting and going 50-50 or not. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I think it means something to us just because we're living it. But to somebody tuning in, watching this for the first time, that's a collector, you know, I just wanted to kind of talk through, like, we don't always get a chance to, when we do the collection update, to get that really in depth of, sometimes I'll explain the why, just because I feel like I have to explain myself sometimes of like why I'm doing all this crazy stuff that I am. But what does it mean to you, Chris?
I mean, from my perspective, looking at your situation, no. For myself, you know, if you guys have been following along from the beginning, or if you're new, like for me, I started out just focusing on Marvel Hot Toys. Like that was going to be my Hot Toys collecting, because I'm into vintage Star Wars and 3 3/4 inch stuff. I've got an Ahsoka Tano focus collection. I've got a Rebel Commando focus collection. I've got vintage carded figures, all that sort of thing. So I'm like, I've got plenty of Star Wars stuff. I don't really have anything Marvel other than, you know, comics. So like I decided just Marvel. And I mean, I collected just Marvel for quite some time, over a year. And at that point, there was just so many cool Star Wars figures coming out that, you know, I decided to jump in with both feet. And the way I had to do that was to shift my focus and start just combine everything. So basically, like a lot of my redundant Marvel figures, I sold them off to pay for the Star Wars stuff. And kind of at the time, I had quite a few Iron Man figures, and and the markets were, you know, pretty strong at the time. And I was like, all right, I'll sell, you know, some of these redundant ones, and kind of just keep the main ones that I really want. Granted, yes, I made money on those figures. Like I made more than what I paid for them, and I got really good deals on a lot of Star Wars stuff, but it kind of stinks because, you know, now you guys are in this Marvel or Iron Man like collection rejuvenation, and I'm like, you know, I sold Mark 4, Mark 6, you know, I sold Mark 46, you know, some figures that I kind of regret selling, but then again, I wouldn't be able to have my, you know, a lot of the Star Wars figures that I got. But, you know, I had to use the collection to shift focus. I could have just kept going with the Marvel stuff, but I love Star Wars too much to not get into that game. And I haven't checked my numbers in my collection. I don't have a spreadsheet with all the, you know, all the figures broken down and that sort of thing. But
by shelf.
Yes, by shelf behind me. It's all categorized by MMS number and all that stuff. I'm pretty close to 50-50 with a small percentage being DC. When I decided
not DC, just Harley.
Just Harley Quinn.
She has her own subcategory.
She does. And on top of that, you know, you start expanding to a whole nother line of figures. It's like, okay, well, I've got to make some cuts. You know, I've got to make some hard decisions. Do I like that character enough to let some other figures go? And so it's just that process of figuring out what you want your collection to look like, and then, what you can afford, and how do I make that happen? Can I let some stuff go to make room for some other key figures? Because we've all dabbled in various lines and stuff, and sometimes those figures stick. Bryan, you've jumped, you tried Back to the Future, you've got your Jack Sparrow. TC at one point had a Marty McFly, even though he never saw Back to the Future. So
that was years ago. I was young and unwise.
So I mean, it's we do this collection shift, direction shift, focus shift, whatever it might be, and it's probably just going to continue to happen throughout our collecting journey. You're always adjusting and priorities, and Mandalorian, Clone Wars, the future looks really bright for those lines, and we probably are going to get a lot more figures for that stuff. So yes, Sean, you just expand the budget, just keep spending more of that hard-earned money.
Just increase that collecting deficit. That's the way to do it.
But so I mean, that's kind of what it means for me. At least with
he left a caveat: don't do this often.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you say you've got a figure and it's a key figure, but you're shifting focus. I think Mario's shifting some stuff. He's getting rid of his Guardians of the Galaxy figures. He's got Yondu for sale. I mean, that figure is going to net him a good return. They can potentially get 2.5 figures from the sale of that, or at least more than one. So I don't know. We're always going to shift. Some of us quicker than others. It's a bi-weekly journey in Fontaine residence, or the Museum des Fontaines. I'm
about ready to put you in the moderator timeout here, Chris. You've been on this divatary for the last 10 minutes here. I know you're making up for the time that you froze talking during your update, but let's give TC a little chance here. Yeah, I think he's falling asleep here.
Yeah. Soliloquy by letting.
I had to take advantage. Sorry.
Well, I guess for me, I guess for a while I always would kind of toe Star Wars and Marvel 50-50. What I ended up finding is just Hot Toys would grow obviously at a rapid. They're growing at a more rapid pace than they have been in the past. So they continue to put out. It's well over 50. I think 50 figures a year. I think Roy totaled it now. So obviously I can't buy everything. But also when the MCU when Endgame ended and all the hype died, I would go back and watch the MCU films, and I would, I ended up deciding, this is what I really enjoy more than Star Wars. So Star Wars has the history, the cinematic history, the respect, just they've been in the spotlight for 40 plus years. Marvel obviously is, comic wise been around forever, but as far as the cinematic universe, it's still fairly new. But as I watched that 20 plus film saga, I knew that was kind of where I wanted to go. And then specifically collect Tony Stark Iron Man figures. It's just easier for me to do that than kind of collect every figure in a line, or dabble in both Star Wars and Marvel equally. And I say that because I don't value figures anymore the same. I don't value an Iron Man figure from Endgame equal to a Hawkeye figure or a War Machine. I would rather have 2 or 3 of the Iron Man figures than a Black Widow, Hawkeye, Iron Man. I'd rather have the 3 Iron Man than splitting up the money. So I know I can't do both. I can't have 2 85s or 2 85s and a Battle Damage 85 and the other stuff. So what I'm doing is just collecting only the Iron Man figures, and then anything directly tied to Iron Man. So Endgame, take the clean 85, Battle Damage 85, and Thanos. that's all I'm going to do. I'm taking the same kind of strategy with Infinity War. I'm only Mark 50, and then maybe Thanos, and then obviously my Spider-Man collection. But other than that, I'm not collecting anything else in Marvel. It's Iron Man, Spider-Man, and then the key figures in Star Wars now. It's Mandalorian, specifically the Mandalorian in Baby Yoda. So that if they're not involved, I probably won't collect. And then clones. That's it. So I like to go deeper in the figures I want to collect, but I'm not going as wide anymore. And I guess throughout collecting more Iron Man figures is how I decided, that's what I like. I like collecting more of the same thing, building a collection that way rather than going, horizontally and wider, go vertically. So I don't know. It's just something you learn when you bring in more figures constantly. So like over the course of 3-4 years, you can see what you like, what sticks, like Chris said. And to me, it's become pretty clear. I value the Iron Man stuff the most, and then anything Baby Yoda, close second, and clones. I just love the design of the clones.
So Chris, I mean, we're 57 episodes in, plus some bonus ones here and there. One of the things we set out to do at the very beginning of this thing was just to provide advice to help people learn from other people. And I've had conversations before with Lotus Stark. He's been on an episode where we talked about the Play Imaginative figures a couple months ago. Just a great collector. He's run the gamut of being one of the original OG Hot Toy collectors and got into statues, and now he's restoring animatronic robots. I'm not going to follow you there, Lotus, but one of the things that he's said too is like sometimes, like regardless of how many times like the three of us have covered a topic or say like maybe you should do this or do that or different thing, it's just suggestions and stuff, Chris. So for the most part, unless you actually go through and live it and experience it yourself to feel the pains of letting something go and then wanting it back afterwards, or getting in and collecting one thing and then deciding you didn't like it. Like I had a Wonder Woman figure not that long ago. Like that was a fling. I tried it. Wasn't my thing. Like you just have to go through it. Like, and there's nothing wrong with changing your mind and stuff. I mean, we make fun of it because we poke fun at ourselves here when, I kind of change things, but there's no substitute for going through it yourself to go through the collecting journey. Don't let any of us influence what you do. I know we kind of have a sub nickname of the 6 scale enablers. And it, as I saw Robert posting a little bit ago, it's really easy sometimes to go right down rabbit holes, and it's hard not to. We don't try to be influencers. Again, we're spending our own hard-earned money here. Like in all these collection updates, and when we talk about like moving things around and stuff like that, like we're legitimately, either canceling pre-orders, selling things, moving money around in the budget to do certain things. It's not like there's an infinite pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here. We're just plucking things out and buying different things. I mean, we're living and breathing it. And I think maybe that's why after all this time, people still tune in, because we try to keep it as real as possible. So there's no one piece of advice. There's no right way to collect. I think it's all dependent on in each of us individually. And I guess I just wanted to kind of tie a bow on the conversation when we talk about this. It's not for the faint of heart. I know some people will have a difficult time letting something go. I think all of us have had regrets about selling certain things. The good thing about collecting is you can always try to get it back and reacquire it. Sometimes it's a little easier. Sometimes it's harder. I think having the ability just to think there's no figure that's untouchable in your collection. I have one. I'll never let my Shore Trooper go. If you can't tell behind me here, I've got like every Shore Trooper merchandise thing ever known to man. I probably still have a few more to collect, but that was the gateway drug. I'll never let that one go. But there's nothing else that I wouldn't sell if I absolutely needed to get liquid with something, to pay for an emergency, whatnot. If you have that ability to do that, you can take your collection wherever you want to go. But make sure that it means something to you. If you're listening, if you're watching this, I'm unfortunately, you're going to have to go through that journey on your own. We can help you, steer you, give you advice, but don't just listen to what we're saying.
Wise words right there.
Occasionally, I'm pretty sure I just blacked out for a little bit and just started talking and words came out. So,
well, at least you weren't frozen. So
just let it go, Chris.
Into the unknown. Yep, that's where I was.
So. I know I kind of put the boat. Any final thoughts on that, guys? On that topic in particular? I'm sure we'll come back to it again at some point, like we usually do.
No.
Very
nice.
Yeah. I talked enough.
Yeah, you're out of the timeout chair now. So, all right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about a feature figure review, and this one, not necessarily a retro one we've been doing for a while, but we needed to mix in a Marvel character, and it's been out for a while. The Captain Marvel standard and deluxe figure, Chris Scott with Parker Files, I think was actually his first figure review after he'd done the Magic Case review, and I think that's still his most viewed video. I'm going to be watching that video, Scott, multiple different times when my cases show up so I can figure out how on earth to set them up. Actually, I forgot to mention it during the collection update. So I spent like several days before a couple days last weekend and then over the weekend. I actually boxed up my entire collection minus one figure. I have one Hot Toy on display right now. It's up to my left here. I've got my Captain Jack Sparrow on display in a quarter scale case, even though he's not a quarter scale figure. Just trying to prepare for the eventual Magic Case arrival. They're on the ocean on the way to the United States. I'm still thinking it's going to be the end of October, beginning of November before I actually have them, but I'm just preparing. I wanted to clear out the space. I took down 3 DTOFs, broke them down, made the room. My collector room looks really big right now because over to my right over here, there's a big empty space where all those cases are going to go. So, I want to take the time to be able to build the cases, not feel rushed that I've got figures laying around on a desk and stuff like that. And then most importantly, and taking some advice from Roy, taking that time to set up the display and then really savor and enjoy setting up each figure individually, set it up how I want to be posed, not to rush it, not to feel like I need to do like 10 figures a day or just plop them on a shelf just to get them on a shelf, repose them afterwards, because you'll never go back and repose them. It's better just to do it one at a time. And so it'll be nice once I've got that all set up to kind of almost re-enjoy my collection, almost kind of unboxing them again for the first time. So I forgot to mention that during the collection update. But Chris, one of those figures I did box up was Captain Marvel, which was one of the Star Wars figure. Marvel, I got Starville, and as everybody's been talking about it in the live chat right now, I got that mixed in my head. A Marvel figure here. This one you also have in hand, my friend.
Yeah, I actually have 2 of them in hand. Yeah, this is a figure. She was a dopo, I think, when she was first announced way back when. Did you have those stats? Let's see. We had, when did she come out?
February 8th, 2019.
Yeah.
And then released just shy of 1 year, February 5th, 2020. Came about right about when they were expecting to. So we'll talk about, Chris, the standard and deluxe together. I actually have the standard figure. Actually, no, I did get the deluxe, but I'm parting it out, so it might as well be the standard figure. MMS 521, 522, standard deluxe. The original retail price of both, the standard 243, the deluxe 266.
Yeah, I mean, I had, like I said, she was a dopo, and then I had done, massacre to my pre-order list, and I axed her, and she was one that I felt like I wanted, and I just got her from Tim Cent. And I think I paid less than the regular price for the deluxe. But I really like this figure. After watching Parker Files, I was like, okay, I definitely need her in the collection. And it's just a really good looking figure overall. The color scheme, the suit, the helmeted head sculpt, the head sculpt of Brie Larson. I think it's just a good looking figure overall. You know, we can get into the concerns with potentially, you know, with the suit material and dynamic poses over time, that sort of thing. There's definitely some creasing concerns there, but I just really like this figure, and I decided to get a second body so that way I could display multiple looks. And yeah, I mean, it's just I like the look. You know, we've got another figure of hers in endgame form coming, you know, sometime next year, and she's going to be the face, you know, one of the big faces of Marvel, you know, probably over the next 6, 7, 8 years. And this is a good first figure of hers. Though her cat or her Flurkin Goose, probably not the best thing that Hot Toys could have done. There's a third-party company coming out with one at some point this year where he's got all his tentacles extended. That might be a better alternative for Goose. But yeah, I really like this figure.
I'll agree with a lot of the Scavengers tuning in live. Like, this just pops on a shelf. Like, one of the things about Marvel versus Star Wars is the colors are a lot more vibrant, you know, especially if like your TC and you've got a lot of Iron Man figures on display. Those pop. This suit material is just super. It's you know, we'll make the reference to the Iron Spider suit with also has potentially some creasing issues, but like the contrast of the blue and the red and the gold on this, it's just phenomenal. Like, this is a really unfortunately, like, due to some of it, we'll get to talking about the suit here, Chris. You know, it ends up being a really nice looking statue, basically, if you have it kind of in a dynamic pose. Like mine, I had on display very much like this photo from Jingle Bell. But there's just, it's killer. I mean, like you said, head sculpt, you got the mask. I'm not as crazy about Goose as well. That's why I'm selling mine. You know, the jacket is decent. I tried it on with my figure. I just didn't like the look. So, and I'm not going to kit bash another Carol Danvers here. I just think that this is a great addition to, you know, a Marvel collection here for sure.
Are you guys, sorry if I missed this, are you going to get the Endgame version?
I have it on pre-order, yes.
Yeah, I plan on ordering it. I don't have it on pre-order yet. But
so just for reference too, like I've read some of the Captain Marvel comics. I know that the character is not for everybody. I'm not going to get into all the political BS of why or anything, but like if you're a fan of the character in the comics, like I think Brie Larson represented the character well. And I just like the movie. I like kind of her appearance in Endgame. I like what it could do for the future of the MCU going forward when they go more cosmic. And yeah, like this one's still holding strong. I mean, it's available. I haven't checked to see who's got it available lately just because I have it already. But all right, let's just not bury the lead anymore. Let's just talk about some of the concerns. The number one being, well, I guess we touched on the face sculpt a little bit. Excuse me. Like I think it looks fantastic. The sculpted hair looks good. It's a little limiting to the pose, but you're not going to really dynamically pose her head anyway. So I would just be careful that the edges of the hair are sharp. You certainly don't want to damage the suit, moving the head around. So there's a little bit of clearance there, so you shouldn't have an issue. But Chris, let's talk about the suit, because interestingly enough, that you have the extra figure, you were willing to be a little bit more daring. Right. So let's share what your experience with that was.
Yeah, so I had that second body that I gotten, which was brand spanking new right out of the box. You know, when I received it, still had all the foam padding and the plastic on it and everything, but I was willing to mess around with it a little bit more just to push it to the limits. And I definitely noticed leaving it in a dynamic pose, even for, like not even an hour, and then putting her arms back down, her legs back. There's like these micro creases going on, and I don't, as of now, they haven't worked themselves out. It's over 24 hours later. But I think with some heat and work, if you've got a hair dryer or hot, heat gun or something, I don't know what people use, or just even the friction from your fingers working the suit back and forth, you could probably get most of that stuff out. But I can imagine if you leave it in a really dynamic pose for a long period of time, you have to worry about the suit sticking to itself, potentially, and some of those creases causing some of the layers of the fabric, or the whatever the material is, there could be damage there. I didn't dig in on any videos on YouTube to see if there definitely is, but I would just use caution if you're going to leave this figure in a dynamic pose. If you don't mind, I know Roy said like you want that dynamic pose on your shelf, and if you're willing to accept that potential, then I mean, to each their own. It's totally fine, but definitely have some caution with that, because it just stinks when you try to take pictures of the figure and then there's some damage to it.
Yeah, great points. And one thing I'll note about this too, I think with the Iron Spider suit, that's been the more well-documented one that's been out for longer. Hot Toys went with that rubberized suit to kind of mimic a material that was in the movie that was more of like the nanotech. And that one is, you want that to be form-fitting all the time because you're trying to represent a tight-fitting Spider-Man suit. This here is actually a leather suit, basically, or of what it's meant to be in the film. So it will have, just like any clothing that you wear will have, some of that wear and tear. So I'm a little bit more willing to accept it here, because then it looks like, her costume's maybe a little broken in or something like that. It's not completely brand new. You bring up some good points, Chris. We'll see. I think it's whatever risk you're willing to accept as a collector. But this was the TC. You're better at usually identifying these better than Chris and I. But when Hot Toys goes for screen accuracy over functionality, how many figures have we talked about over the last year and a half, 2 years about it looks great, but articulation stinks, or you can't move the arm up over a certain point, or
it's all the time.
It's because Hot Toys is going for the movie accuracy. Like they're not, it's good. It's like a bonus that a Hot Toys figure has articulation and can move around and you can pose it. Their main focus on every collectible is accuracy to movie, real life likeness, head sculpt, costume design, and then if they can make it articulatable, which I just made that word up, then thumbs up on them.
Yeah, it's definitely it's tough to nail all those, check off all those boxes, especially with a suit like this, the material. Hot Toys is always pushing the bar, trying to use a new material, come up with a new combination of materials to allow, more articulation. And the stuff that they come up with is amazing. Like the material and how everything looks so, perfect in 1/6 scale, whether it's the stitching, the measurements, all that stuff. I think, they nail all that stuff. And I don't know, I'm more inclined to go for the screen accuracy, because I'm not like a I'm the farthest from a photographer, so I'm not going to be doing these crazy poses to try to take, some sweet, pictures. This stuff is going to be in a display, and maybe every once in a while I mess around with a setup or a pose. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I can see just kind of set it up here and there to see if you can get a pretty cool pose, but I'm not too worried. We'll see how this one ages. Hopefully it doesn't really have any problems down the line.
So TC, unfortunately, the last couple times out, we've done figures that you didn't necessarily have in hand. Just anything that you'd like to add, anything obviously you still follow like the sideshow, the boards in a lot of different groups. Any thoughts of seeing or hearing anything interesting about this that we might not have mentioned?
No, not really. I mean, if I had a preference of Captain Marvel figures, it would be the Endgame version. I like the suit colors, the color scheme better, and then the head sculpt. But, this is the first one. So this is the original. Those always are, sought after pieces from collectors. So I totally get why people want this figure. Looks great, but like you said, Brian, this is another one in the long line of figures where you can't pose it. Almost any Spider-Man figure, Black Panther figure, Superman, Batman, big time figures, you can't do anything with the suit. And it's definitely a downside with it. But, what you sacrifice in articulation, you gain in presence. So in detail.
All right. Thanks, TC. Chris, one thing I was looking at one of the photos here that I forgot to mention is obviously there's no ab crunch on this. The suit is all kind of a hardened material in the abdomen area. There is the shoulder gusset does kind of allow that you can kind of move her arms out sideways at a 90-degree angle. It does stretch it a little bit. You can see a little bit of the bunching here, like under the underarm, like the armpit area here. So again, just be careful. I will give this a full endorsement in terms of shelf presence and pop and movie accuracy and likeness. It gets a little bit of marks down just because you just wish Hot Toys maybe would have been able to engineer it a little bit better, but I'll take all the pros that they definitely outweigh the cons for me on this figure in particular. And I enjoy the character of Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do as well. I like the movie. I like her performance. My girls love Captain Marvel. We got, the Marvel Legends figure of, this version of her in the Marvel Legends bin. We've got all the Marvel storybooks. So they really, they love Captain Marvel, and they come down here and they, love seeing her on the shelf. And I just have to, keep them at bay. So they're not messing with her. But I just think, it's a great character overall for, young girls and stuff to look up to. And there's even a character in the comics, soon to be a Disney Plus series, Kamala Khan in Miss Marvel, that looks up to this character. And it's really interesting to see the emergence of Captain Marvel as being one of the top characters in all of Marvel over the last 10 years, really. Before that, she's been around since the late 60s, 70s. But, now she's like one of the big faces of Marvel. And I just think it's great that we have her in the MCU. And I look forward to, what the next Captain Marvel movie brings and the Miss Marvel series and all that. It's just, I'm sure we'll see at least, another figure of hers probably in the next 4 or 5 years. So we won't just have this and the end game. So if you're a big Captain Marvel fan, you can have a whole lineup of them down the road.
All right, Chris, let's rate this thing. TC, any suggest? I don't have one planned, so I won't correct you like I did last time out.
Leather
jackets. How about Flurkin's wearing leather jackets?
Yes.
I did it anyways. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry.
That was the plan.
Yeah. It's a combo deal.
Yeah. I'd buy a figure of a Flurkin wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. So you gonna go? You want me to go?
You talk first.
All right, I'll talk first. Let's see. I'll rate her 4.5 Flurkins in fighter pilot jackets.
That was going to be my score too. So we're definitely in agreement there. I think, the pros outweigh the cons. It's not the perfect figure. Probably the fifth time I've mentioned it, but the shelf pop is there. The colors, it's a color combination that's unlike anything we've gotten with a Hot Toys Marvel release so far.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, I hate to say you have to live with certain things with a really expensive collectible like this, but if you can get over the fact that you're not going to be able to just articulate the heck out of it, or if you pick a really dynamic pose and you're fine with just leaving it like that forever and barely ever posing it, nobody's really done any long-term stress tests of the suit. I mean, Chris, you obviously gave your experience on a 24-hour test. I mean, accept your own risk. Just know that it's there. And I know our friend Robert is a huge fan of this figure. He actually got it before I think all of us had done, and he's going with a 4.8763. Strong endorsement.
Hey, that's great. That's great. And maybe if she had that crazy light effect, then maybe I would be up there. But it was interesting. I did kind of forget about this. Craig mentioned they teased that Star Force version of her with the green and black suit.
Well, if you go, Sean popped in and dropped some knowledge. So I'm not going to say it in the audio form because I want people to go back through and watch the chat, but gave a very interesting answer to that, my friend.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, back when they teased that, we were all speculating that it might be a con exclusive or that sort of thing. They also teased a Jan Rog, Jude Law's character, which, and he was actually photographed holding the prototype. And, but yeah, at one point, I think we could have gotten those figures. We'll see if we ever do. I think the Jan Rog is one of those prototypes that never happens, but I mean, you never know with Hot Toys. They make some interesting decisions with some con exclusives.
That they do. All right, guys, that was a jam-packed episode. Again, thank you for all the scavengers that hung around and bared with our technical difficulties tonight. We got the full show in, still the hour and a half, the 90 minutes like we typically do. And it's always fun. I mean, it's just the three of us friends hanging out, chatting. We do this stuff daily. It's just fun to be able to do it and have everybody else tuning in live and adding to the conversation, being able to talk with fellow scavengers. I mean, what else do we have better to do than kind of hanging out on a Wednesday night here?
Not a thing.
That's
why we're here.
Talk about all of our collecting habits here that are entirely healthy, by the way.
One last note. So I put the batteries in her like right before we started recording, and I'm pretty sure they're already dying.
Oh man. That's not even like a 2. Well, you and I started talking a little after 9.
Oh yeah, that's right.
About 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours of life on those little button batteries. That's probably all it's got. I'm not a battery guy. I don't think any of the three of us are.
I just wanted to try it and see if it picked up on camera. It doesn't really pick up too much. So
now your replacement batteries for those will probably be like $75 on Amazon.
Probably.
Oh well.
Oh well. Yep.
All right, let's do our plugs. We've got our website, 6scalescavengers.com, where we have our checklists and databases. I will be making some updates to some of those figures that we mentioned with some incorrect dates out there. It's a constant improvement. It's a labor of love. We've got all the Hot Toys lists out there for Star Wars, Marvel, DC. You'll also find all of our episodes out there as well with links and all that other fun stuff. We have our TeePublic store. We just had a sale the other day. Thank you to a couple scavengers that picked up some shirts. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys repping the Scavengers shirts out there. We have our Facebook page. We're on Instagram. Still kind of boycotting Twitter a little bit, Chris. The audio podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music now. I got to update our notes on that. And 6scalescavengers.libsyn.com if you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice. Also, we mentioned him a couple different times. He's working on a video review right now for the new Wasp figure. Subscribe to Parker Files on YouTube, the official Marvel Hot Toys video reviewer of the 6 Scale Scavengers.
Just a quick shout out to our friends at Collecting Weekly. They have a great show. Actually a suite of shows, so give them a listen. And yeah, every week.
Oh yeah, you'll see
podcast.
a lot. Oh yeah, you'll see a lot of the same loyal listeners and viewers that are in the chat tonight over in their chat. I jumped on their feed right when they hit record last night. Always fun hearing what Zach and Dean are up to.
Yeah, a little bit wider set of topics. You know, example to talk about HasLab. They love HasLab, so
they're all about it.
Give them a listen.
And 6 Scale Economist, I saw him tuning in live as well. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
His channel's actually I don't think I mentioned it, guys. Not that we count subscribers or anything, not that it gives us any kind of sense of purpose in life, but I think we just went over like 800 subscribers. So just thank you everybody that does that. I mean, we appreciate it. We don't do all of like the formula things that YouTube says that we do. We just use this as the way to talk to you guys, to do these shows live. But we do appreciate all the likes, the comments, the subscribes. It does validate that, there's a reason why we have these conversations, every 2 weeks.
Yeah. We get some new subscribers, every week, and it's always great to see that number going up. And we always love seeing our loyal listeners and all the new listeners and viewers. It's a great time, always a good conversation, and love what everybody adds into the live chat.
All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in live. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks. We'll probably have some New York Comic Con stuff to talk about. So Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.